Welcome to the Incredible Hokes, coming to you from the command center for Hoke Central. I'm Chris.
Mark?
Mark.
It's like 3 a.m. We're like,
No, hi, how you doing? Just Mark. All right, we are continuing with our NFL. So we pretty much only talk about movies and football for the most part. It seems like
Yeah.
we have other things we talk about, but we never like show on camera.
Yeah, I've got other topics we can talk about, but
Which I always try to avoid politics because, anyway, it just
yeah, it's not what we do. So
yeah, even personally, we don't. I try and avoid it. Anyway,
yeah, relax, everybody.
so you have an NFL topic that is near and dear to you. So share with us, share with us, testify.
Well, this is kind of a part 2 of we were talking earlier about the NFL and the soap opera that it's become.
Sure.
And I just found it interesting as this was playing out, particularly in the month of September this year. Roger Goodell, the commissioner, he took over for Paul Tagliabue back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that his tenure began, the NFL was riddled in all this the off the field issues.
No discipline whatsoever.
No discipline. You know, it was really
kind of a ghetto thug mentality.
It was a really thug league. It just the perception at least.
Sure.
And he came in, and for the first 2 seasons, he was seen as kind of the new sheriff in town, the guy that was really cleaning up things.
Absolutely.
And to be the guy that had that rep, and he was coming down hard and being more strict and trying to have more, certainly raise the accountability that was, that just apparently was not there before he got there. And then to have what happened this year was a bit of a shock, because the way he was approaching it was, well, for what is the anytime he went to hand out a punishment for someone who had an off the field issue, he would always go, what's the precedent for it? And then he would do that. The Ray Rice thing. Well, okay, what's the precedent? What have we done before? 2-game suspension? I'll do that. And it was like, it was fascinating to me that nobody near him or even himself was able to say, hey, you may want to take the temperature of the nation. This could blow back on you. Be prepared if this doesn't go well, and have a plan of action. And he didn't seem to, nor the NFL seemed to have a plan of action.
Yeah, TMZ blindsided them.
Yeah,
TMZ blindsided them with the interior of the elevator shot. Well, as we talked about before, go ahead, finish your thought before I jump in.
Well, it takes us back to September, and all this was going on, and it was just fascinating to me that here was a guy who, this is where he started, had the reputation of being the guy to clean up the league, and the owners, he got paid, what was it, a $40 million bonus one year, a lot of money, and so the owners are throwing him out there to be the bad guy, to be the buffer, to take the hits, and really to clamp down on these things. These are edicts that are coming from the owners.
Right.
This is nothing that he's just himself doing necessarily.
Sure.
So I just thought it was interesting that, here he was really taking a shellacking, got thrown under the bus. But, someone on the radio was making the point of that's what he gets paid. He's getting paid very well to take those shots. And it was just, I just thought it was a fascinating thing to have a guy who had been so good at this. And then it seems like the last 2 years he's been somehow bad at this. And it goes back to that CBA agreement. That last one they did, what was it, 2010, 2011? And the Players Association was able to bargain for more leverage. Hey, anytime you put a guy on suspension, you got to come to us. We can, and a lot more flexibility for them to appeal suspensions and things like that. And it seems like, at least this year, the Players Association and what the owners want and what the nation is wanting, that it doesn't seem like they're gelling. So I'll be interested to see what happens this offseason, if there has to be a committee that comes together that is, it takes it out of Goodell's hands. Your thoughts?
Well, Goodell in general, you know, you raise a lot of like points. I don't know how. I don't know if I'm really going to rebut or I don't think you would put anything out there for rebuttal. Really, you just sort of
Okay.
make some observations. I'll give you my observations on Goodell. I think going back to Goodell and the Ray Rice / Adrian Peterson / discipline issue that come up in this 2014 season, he strikes me as an engineer mentality. In other words, in my life, there seems to be several personality types, but predominantly you'll have the people I know on a most consistent basis is technical, engineer types, and artistic, touchy-feely, emotional types. I feel that I can bridge both worlds, but in my heart of hearts, deep down, I'm a touchy-feely, emotional type. I get angry easily if I don't control it. I get depressed easily if I don't control it.
Okay.
Sad easy, happy easy. I'm emotional. I don't look at things analytically at first. I've trained myself to, on second thought, look at it analytically. I first look at it emotionally. So, I think Goodell is more engineer type. He looks at everything as black and white, numbers, dollars and cents, so on and so forth. So, the fact that he totally missed the temperature of the NFL fan base or people in general, to me, is not shocking. Because in his mind, yeah, I've been brought in to be the sheriff, so that's what I did. And so I gave this guy 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, this, that, and the other, and clamped down on people. Ta-da. So he didn't see, I think, punishing Ray Rice as punishing a player who beat his wife on camera. He saw it as, okay, this is, he did something, so there's 2 weeks. He didn't see it emotionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't see it as a social statement. He didn't see it as a referendum or any some sort of socially significant event. I think that totally escaped him. I don't think he ever saw it that way. I think if he tells you he didn't see it that way, I would believe him. All right? That I think he really truly believes that he did the right thing, because he does not strike me. Just listen to him talk. Is that an emotional person talking?
Oh no!
No, he's a robot.
He's very calm.
He's a robot. South Park made fun of him. It was awesome. He was literally a robot in the episode, and that's how he comes off. He's very monotone, and he comes off disingenuous because he's so monotone. And I think he probably isn't those things if you get to know him. I'm sure he has his wife and kids and everybody's happy and loves him and he's a good father. But I think he just comes off as a robot, an analytical robot. So I don't think it's shocking at all that he missed all that, completely whiffed on it. And now he's probably going to overcompensate, because just like an engineer, okay, well, the structural integrity wasn't good enough. Let me throw that much more freaking brick and mortar at this to make it more sturdy. So he's going to overcompensate now.
Yeah.
And probably on Adrian Peterson, with the verdict that came down today as of this taping that he's suspended the remainder of the year, that might be overcompensation. Maybe. I don't know. I can't judge. I don't know enough about it. So maybe. So all that to say, I think for the rest of his tenure as commissioner, you're not going to get a guy who can read the temperature of the room. He's just not made that way. He's just not. He's not the endearing, lovable guy that knows how to push what buttons and what not.
Yeah, well, to me, but that's the fascinating part of it, though.
Yeah.
Because when he took over the job in 2006, he didn't necessarily.
They wanted the Terminator.
First of all, it was transparent. It was out there. We knew that the NFL was a thug league.
Yeah.
That was something he knew. That's what it was. So the fact he's been on the job, working at it, things got better, and then maybe things have, at least the appearance, things have gotten a little worse or a lot worse in the recent years, and all of a sudden, this story really caught fire. And you can blame the PR department or him, or I don't know. I mean, it's just fascinating to me that here was a guy who was the new sheriff, the tough guy, and then this is the guy now being seen as not being tough enough. You talk about irony of ironies.
Yeah.
It was very ironic.
Well, that's because the emotional mood changed of people, and he's a robot, and he didn't change with it.
And I think the nation, I think we kind of intimated on our part one, talking about the soap opera and all that. You get beat down, and I think this nation's just tired of it. We're tired of every other week there's some athlete who's been involved in something, and I think that as a nation we've had it up to here with it. And I think that's what he got caught in.
I honestly, and I've said it to you off camera. And I have enough confidence in it that I'll say it on camera. And I'm not saying never. I'm not saying never or ever. I'm not using those kind of words. But I can see the day where I don't watch football. Now, I thought I would go my whole life and watch football. But because the soap opera events beat me down, because of some of the rule changes, and because of the parody, because of the way they market some of the teams, I don't feel like, I honestly don't think my team is getting the fair shake it's supposed to get to be successful. At some point, I'm just throwing money away watching these games because it's never going to matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The rich get richer and the poor stay poorer. I think that's true of some of these teams. Baseball is even worse. I don't know how people are baseball fans of some of these franchises when you never ever have an opportunity to win. And I feel that's kind of happening. I don't think there's as much parity in the league as they claim to be. I really don't, because every year you Denver, New England, Green Bay, they're always good. You know what I mean? I don't think the parity exists that they claim to exist.
Yeah.
And with the rule changes, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. There's no way to overcome not having a franchise quarterback with the rule changes. So I'm not saying never, but I can see the day sometime in the next 5 years or so that I probably I've got enough to do with my time. I'll do something else. I'll watch football.
Yeah.
Anyway, and is that Goodell's fault? Partially. Is that the owner's fault? Partially. Is that the player's fault? Partially. Is that me getting older and my mood changing? Yeah, partially that too. I don't think I'm alone. Because I just, when I talk to people, there just ain't that fervor it seemed to used to be with football. I mean, it's gotten beaten on the end of Sunday night.
Well, that was where I was going to...
Go for it. We'll have to go with that.
Yeah, I was going to go as an ending thought. Was the last 3 Sunday night football games have actually lost in the ratings to the Walking Dead TV show, and that is, folks, that's big, and not all these Sunday night games have been like really bad teams. I mean, you had Colts and Patriots just this last game, and they're certainly both
should have been close.
That should have been a close game. And the ratings should have been big because those are 2 big winning teams and had winning franchises the last 14, 15 years. Yeah. So should have been a big ratings getter, and it's not. So I think there could be some fatigue there.
Yeah, I think there's such a saturation of entertainment that the American audience does get fatigued. And that opens up a whole other discussion about why NFL's moving into London and Canada, why movies are making China that much more of a priority. That opens up a whole other can of worms. But I do honestly feel that the American public is almost entertained to death. You can't watch every show. You can't see every game.
No, you can't.
As much as we love movies and I want to see every movie, it's just impossible to see every movie.
Well, so there are literally shows that okay, are you on Netflix? No. Oh, well, you won't get to see these shows because they're Netflix exclusive.
Yeah.
Are you on Hulu Plus? Oh, you won't see those shows. You're on Amazon Prime? No, you won't see that show. And on it goes. And you're like, I can't.
And then,
we're in the middle of a recession. Who's got that kind of money?
And then with football, my team's out of my market, so I have to pay to watch them. That is not cheap for me to watch the Titans. It is not cheap. It costs me like $60 a month.
The Sunday ticket.
Sunday tickets, like something like $60 a month. Something like that. I might be wrong. It's $40, 60, something like that. Anyway, it's not cheap, and it's not getting the bang for my buck. So I know I'm an exhausted fan. Exhausted with a saturation of the soap opera. Exhausted from a monetary. I don't buy any of the products anymore. Jerseys, hats. I don't buy any of that stuff. It just I kind of drew the line on all that stuff. And I don't think I'm alone. I don't think I'm alone in feeling this way.
Well, and what's fascinating to me is to pick on. You said you were talking about parody earlier. Well, if there's so much parody, now I realize there are some really good GMs and coaches that are long tenured in some of these teams we're talking about. But you raise an interesting point. Is there something going? Is there the other fans of there's about 6 teams that have had about 12 years at least of just consistency where they're in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other, what is that? What would that be? About 26 teams? We're like, when's our day? Yes, we understand you have a bit of a dynasty going up, but when's our turn? And I think, there's something interesting about this parody that it just seems like about 6 teams keep having their day and the rest of us just keep waiting. You can't do that forever. And I don't know that you raise a good question. Maybe this parody isn't really parody. I never really thought about it until you brought it up.
They claim parody, but it doesn't really deliver. Ask the Buffalo Bills if there's parody. And they have not been in the playoffs since '99 when they lost to Tennessee in the Music City Miracle. They haven't been back since '99.
And Cleveland,
ask them if there's parody.
They've been awful since they
have back. Yet to be back at all since they've been back. I think they haven't been back at all.
Yeah, this year is their first sign of life in a long time.
So, and I know people will comment like, "Well, get a good coach. Well, manage your team better." Valid. You're totally valid. Can't argue with you. I still don't think parity exists as much as they say it does. I think it's all about if you have a franchise quarterback, you have a chance. If you don't, you're screwed. And speaking of screwed,
we're going to end on that note.
We'll end on that note. So,
let's end on a more positive note.
Okay.
I'm a Journey fan. Don't stop believing.